Dating is age appropriate. When you are in your 20s, it's okay to play around, play the field, and play the game.
You've blown your youth. You spent the years between 18 and 35 doing whatever the hell you chose to do.
Out of 41 years, have not met Mr. Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's enough time to find a lot of things out.
I bet.
And yet, no kids, single.
What's up, guys? It's your girl Rivah, and I am back again with another video. Now, Dr. Cheynne Bryant, who a lot of us know from her recent interview that she did with Cam Newton that went viral all over the internet.
You're not taking your time.
I am, though.
You're being very action-based. You're not taking your time. You're being very action-based.
I'm taking my time.
You're being very action-based. You have 8 kids with 3 different women.
Yes.
You are creating, procreating, and multiplying. That is not taking your time. You're being very selectively active.
So after her publicity from that particular interview, she has been on a lot of different relationship, podcasts or panels giving her opinions on certain things. So in this particular panel that she was on for the show Tonight's Conversation, there was somebody who asked her, I believe, about dating and marriage, and she gave her response. And I wanted to give you guys my thoughts and my opinion on her response and further the conversation.
Dating is age appropriate. When you are in your 20s, it's okay to play around, play the field, and play the game. But when you hit them 30s and up, it's time for you to be transparent about your sense of self, what you want in that person, and have that be the conversation you have on the first date, the first text, the first conversation.
So here we see that she's saying, when you're in your 20s and your 30s, it's okay to play the field, it's okay to play games, but as soon as you're in your 30s, that's when you need to be intentional about who you're dating and making sure that you are in alignment with the person that you want to be with, and make sure that your values and everything matches up. Now, I wanted to have this conversation because I think that context definitely matters. And I do think that sometimes we get age and maturity mixed up.
How young are you willing to go?
Late 20s would be the youngest, 27-ish. But again, it depends on the maturity level.
Right? I think that a lot of the times that people have these conversations about when you should get into a relationship or when you should look for a spouse, a lot of people have it mixed up with a number. And it's definitely not a number. It is a mindset. Hence why we have some people who have been, in relationships since they were 18, 19, 20 years old and are still married to that person that they were in the relationship with at that time and are completely fine, content, and happy with their decision.
Your counterparts who were looking to marry up and marry well were getting married their junior and senior year in college, the first and second year after college. They were married at 22 and 23, and you were laughing at those white girls and those Asian girls getting married at 22, 23. You get married after college, that's too young.
Telling, at this particular part of the conversation, she was talking to a young man. But if, in talking to younger women, I think it's important that you know that playing around in your 20s can have you tripping and single in your 30s and 40s. I got to be honest. I think a lot of time we have a lot of women who play the game, as she stated, in their 20s. And again, in their 30s, they're trying to make up for lost time. They're trying to go back and find the nice guy. They're trying to figure out where they went wrong and try to pick up the pieces. Now they, their clock is ticking. They're getting 35 and now they want to have a child and then they hurry up and rush down the aisle.
Through your youth, you can't get that back. You don't have time to play any more games. You don't have another 10 years to try to figure this shit out. You'll be 50.
You see, I feel if the conversation was had in the way that it should be had, which is it's important to all the time date with intention. Okay? All this experience that we are telling younger women to get is very overrated. I got to be honest with you. You see, when you're in your teens, when you're in high school, when you are under the regime of your parents and you are still trying to figure things out for yourself, that is a whole different conversation. But you see, when you are really starting life and you figuring out what it is to be an adult and you're maturing, this should always be your intention. And I'm not saying, I don't think that you should be all the way 28, 29 and you still just playing games. Oh, but when I hit 30, that's when I'm going to take men serious.
We need to go on girl trips and having our best life, hot girl summer and all this other bullshit. Now, they're 10 years into their marriage, 3 kids deep, and their husband's a VP of marketing somewhere. And while you still got you and your cats are living in a loft downtown, driving your BMW in a middling career.
If we want to be honest, we're talking about you're wanting to start a family, you're wanting to build with somebody, and, in my, again, this all I keep having to say my opinion because you'd be surprised the comments I get in the comment section. Like, how you know? Why you saying that? What you think? I always have to give the disclaimer of my opinion. But there's a lot of growing that happens throughout life, right? And especially as a woman, when you are going through different hormonal changes and different evolutions, it's always going to be better if you are growing with somebody than if you are growing into your own separate from anybody else. And I'm going to give you my opinion. The reason why I'm personally saying that is because a lot of women can grow into selfishness. You see, when they're used to being alone, having their own place, doing their own thing, doing whatever it is that they want to do, coming and going as they please, they grow into that selfishness. And so it's a lot more difficult for them to get into relationships and have to bend or mold or, even just think of somebody else when they're so used to self.
They're looking for women at least 10 years younger than them. Somebody who does not have all the emotional baggage, call it mileage, just call it years. They don't have all that. They're looking for somebody who is younger, less experienced, and somebody who can follow a lot better. That's what these guys are looking for.
There's a lot of women who, they play the field all the way up, 20, 26, 27, 28, 29, then 30 when they decide, I want to settle down. It's a lot more difficult for them to even find somebody to settle down with. Because when all the other guys was trying to, take them serious, when they were trying to build with them, they said, oh, no, I'm too young. I'm just trying to have fun right now. We need to, have real conversations with younger women. If you want to be married and have children, it would behoove you that, to try to vet as early as possible. Just like we've seen a lot of different races, they go to college and what do they say? A ring by spring. While they are prioritizing their career, they're also prioritizing setting up their whole life, getting a husband. And if it's not a husband, a long-term boyfriend that is going to transition into a husband because they've already, done the vetting process and they know that his values align with their values. So many times we see, especially within our community, these girls out here, quote unquote, having fun and living it up because they're too young. And what happens? Baby mamas, toxic relationships. Okay, they end up, single mothers, their whole career and all these ideas that they had unfulfilled because they was out here just having fun doing what everybody said that they're supposed to do.
When you hit them 30s and up, it's time for you to be transparent about your sense of self, what you want in that person, and have that be the conversation you have on the first date, the first text, the first conversation.
Now, this is another thing that she said. So in her talking about the vetting process, she's saying that on the first date, there needs to be certain conversations that are necessary to see if this person aligns with your ultimate values. And for this part of the conversation, I definitely agree with that. I think that, a lot of people get into relationships and they're so far gone in the relationship only to find out that this man doesn't want children and you do. Like, how did you miss that? Right? Like, how did you miss the fact that this man wants absolutely no children and wants to travel and you want like 3, 4, 5 kids? How did that conversation never come up? And again, because as she stated, they're so glued to the way he looks. So my baby gonna have, this kind of complexion, this kind of hair, these light eyes. Women are superficial like that.
People are falling too soon for the aesthetics and the optics of a house that's an empty home. Excuse my language.
Oh, my baby gonna do this. And they're so, into all of the things that literally do not matter that they miss the mark on, is this person aligned with you, or is it somebody that you are going to be able to, adjust to a certain lifestyle alongside them? So for that portion of the conversation, I do agree. However, I also think that it is important to note, and this is no shade to anybody. I know that, she is single. I believe that she's been in relationships before and been engaged before, but I believe at this moment she is single.
Out of 41 years, have not met Mr. Right. Mm-hmm. That's enough time to find a lot of things out.
I'd rather take my time choosing than end up doing time because I'm making wrong decisions.
But I think it's also important that we note that a lot of women have to learn selflessness and compromise from an early age. Because coming into the conversation and as a woman saying, well, are you going to be able to do what I want? You're not the leader of the relationship.
Okay. So what you need to do is make sure that you're having conversation that looks like, this is what I like. This is what I'm looking for. Where do you stand? Are you conducive for me?
A lot of these women lead themselves into solitude because they believe that the way that they are conditioned to think and to do things and to maneuver is actually helping them when it's actually hurting them. I got to make sure that he's doing what I want. He got to make sure he on my page. Oh, well, I want to hang out with my girls and go on girls trips. So if you don't like that, then you can get to stepping. Like, no, you should actually compromise on that. Because them same homegirls that you're defending, if they get a man and find somebody, you're not going to be able to reach them. And you're putting your happiness or your relationship at stake for these people who are not, I'm going to be real. If we really got down to it, they don't even have your back like you think you do. Like you think they do. You talking about, oh yeah, this my sis. You know, she always down for me because you answer the phone and you have a good time. Let's be real. We also have to talk about the give and the take, the compromise. The willingness to submit. Sometimes submission looks like you want to do this, but he says this and you still do this. I wanted to go left, but he said right, I'm going to go right. Because I know ultimately he has my best interest at heart. That compromise is necessary. A lot of women go to the table and ruin relationships or turn away great guys who are suitable men to be great husbands and great fathers because they got this list. And I'm going, oh, no, I'm not doing that. And where did they even get that idea from? Other people on social media. Just because somebody sprinkle said that it sounds good, you're taking her ideas, don't even know how to use them. And then trying to figure out why you're still single and why you're having such a hard time.
Because the name of the game is, if we're not conducive, pivot. It doesn't have to be rude, but pivot. And if it is, lock in and take your time.
Another thing that when she talks about, like, if it's conducive, then go for it, right? Lock in, make it work. But if it's not, then pivot and find somebody else. I agree with that, right? Like, there's a lot of times that people, begin relationships and they know it's not going to work. But just for the sake of it, they just, keep it going for the long haul. They're like, oh, well, they seen the red flags from date number 1. They still go on date number 2, date number 3, date number 4, date number 5. Now they're in a relationship. Now they're engaged. Now they have a baby. And they knew from the beginning that it wasn't going to work. So I completely agree with that. Like, once you see that things are not going according to plan, it's okay to pivot. And again, discretion is necessary because sometimes things are not going according to plan because you're going through some growing pains. The two of you, coming into one space and growing together, sometimes it causes a little rift that you think that is breaking up the relationship, but it's actually breaking to build something new. I think that's very vital and very important that a lot of people realize that, you cannot just, come and listen to these things and think, oh, well, she's right. I did have a problem that he said this. And so, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and pivot and try to find somebody better. We're in the age and stage that people always think that there's somebody better. Oh, well, good, better, best. A lot of these women will leave their best thinking that there's bester or bestest, and there's not out there for them. I'm just keeping it real.
Don't rush to the altar just to become a divorcee or a baby mama or baby daddy. It's not that serious.
Another thing that I think needs to be broken down is when she talks about, you don't have to rush to become a divorcee or a baby mama or whatever the case is. I think that, again, context is very necessary because I think that a lot of people, when she says that, are missing the point, right? Because it can be taken, and perspective is a thing, man. Perspective is really a thing because a lot of people can think that means, oh, well, you're going to end up a baby mama or a divorcee once you get into a relationship anyway. And I think, again, the important context of that piece of the conversation is you need to vet properly. It's very important that you understand the person who you are with. And how are you going to understand the person that you're with? By spending time with them. Learning, asking questions, communication, seeing how they act when they're angry, seeing how they act in all different facets. And this is one of the things I've always said. You know, I've never agreed with, 3 months, 6 months, and a year. I've never agreed with a rushed time span on hurrying up and trying to make it work if you're going to be in a relationship with somebody. No, you need to know this person. And that goes for both women and men. A man, you need to see what this woman act like when you tell her no. You need to see how she act when she can't get her way. You have to see her in all different facets. And the same thing for a woman. You have to see how he acts and how does he treat the people around him? How does he treat the women in his life? How does he communicate to you about certain things? Like, you need to know these things. Because the more that you know this person, the better it is for you to understand if you are going to be able to accompany this person throughout all different facets. Am I going to be able to be a soft place for this person to land? Am I going to be able to comfort them through this space? Am I able to be his perfect balance? And if I'm not there yet, maybe I could work on it and get there because of how good this bond that the two of us have. And the number one thing that a lot of people miss when it comes to starting relationships is that person needs to be your friend. Your friend for real. Not just a friend like an acquaintance. That person needs to be your friend, like your best friend. That changes things because they see you as a part of themselves. Too many people get into relationships and they just see their spouse as just their woman or just their man. It's a whole different ballgame when you're in a relationship with somebody that sees that person as their friend. I'd like to know what you guys think about this in the comment section down below. I would love to hear you guys' opinions on this video. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. And I will see you guys in the next one. Love you.